Well, what can we say further about the incredible, incomprehensible tragedy that happened on Lag BaOmer in Israel on Mount Meron? Everyone's, I'm sure, read about it, had their own thoughts about it. Perhaps some of us have engaged in the blame game, which is truly unfortunate because that is really not the point of this whole thing. It was the police's fault, it was this fault, the Haredim, too many people, what were they thinking, what was he thinking, what was she thinking. But at the end of the day, and there's so much written about it already, here's the two things that struck out at me, and I really suggest that this is the focus that we should have. And I'm very wary about giving grand proclamations of what we should learn from this and what we should fix. There was a gathering in Toronto, a virtual gathering by two of the leading rabbis in the city, and they both said the same thing, which really hit home. And they both said, the message is very clear that we all have to look inwards, as the Talmud says, and examine our deeds. That is true. But they added a very poignant message that everyone knows for themselves what they need to correct and rectify. They didn't start proclaiming that it's because of this or that, and that terrible thing that the Jewish people do, or that terrible thing that the Jewish people do over there, or things that we are not fully engaged in. Is it Lashon Hara? Is it lack of Torah learning? Is it that we're not going to minyan, or that we're not concentrating during our prayers? You can fill in the blanks any which way suits you. But they wisely said, everyone knows for themselves what they need to work on. And I think that's so true. But the message to me that really struck home was two incidents that I read about. One was from Rabbi Chiyut, if I'm pronouncing his name correctly, who lost his son and his student, I realized just recently, in the tragedy. And a Druze policeman, not a Jew, a Druze, D-R-U-Z-E, not Jewish, reached to the father, to Rabbi Chiyut, and said, grab my hand and I'll pull you out. And Rabbi Chiyut, as he was being crushed to death slowly, said, grab my son. And he tried to grab his son Yedidia, who was about a meter away from his father, and he couldn't get him. And then he went back to the father and said, I can't reach him, let me get you at least. And another policeman at that moment came, and he was able to drag Rabbi Chiyut and his other son, Shmuel Meir, who was right next to him, extricated them from both the pile and saved their lives. And tragically, Yedidia and another student, Moshe, were killed a few seconds later. And Rabbi Chiyut said, if I was another 10 seconds, I would have been done. And there's a beautiful video of the Shiva where this policeman, Rami, came, non-Jewish, and he hugged the father, hugged the son, and he sat with them, consoling them during Shiva. And Rabbi Chiyut said, this is the message, perhaps a message. It doesn't matter what kippah we'll wear, what color shirt we wear, Haredi, Ashkenazi. We're all Jews, we're all together, we're all of humanity living in this beautiful world trying to understand our role in life. And then at another Shiva of another one of the victims, this time in the Hasidic enclave of Mea Sha'arim, not a place known for its, necessarily warm relations with the state of Israel and the government officials, but someone else came to be Menachem Abel, to comfort the mourner of this family. A secular Israeli, and secular Israelis generally do not venture into Mea Sha'arim, or if they do, they don't hang out there for long. But this individual said, something pulled me to comfort the mourner, I don't know what it is, and he went in. And as soon as he went in, all the people there made a seat right opposite the father of the son who was passed away. In Mea Sha'arim, right? The enclave, the epicenter of the ultra-Orthodox Hasidic sect. And the father of the person looked at him and said, I can't thank you for coming. You have no idea the kind of strength that you're giving me just for being here. I'm sure this is not easy for you. And the man said, I don't know why I'm here, but something told me I had to come and be a part of it and give whatever words of comfort I can manage. And the father said, you've given me more comfort than you can possibly imagine. And then he shook his head and sighed and looked down and said, Mi ka'amcha Yisrael. Who is like your nation Israel? And indeed, this is the rallying cry, this is the inspiration, and this is perhaps, for me at least, I share it with you, everyone has to get their own message according to their personality and their skills and their strength. Mi ka'amcha Yisrael, who is like you Jewish people that band together and rally together and understand that when these kind of things happen, it is a rallying cry and a message for all the entire Jewish people, not just for that sector, the Hasidic sector, the Mizrahi said it's for the entire Jewish people cried together in this incredibly painful, tragic moment, a moment that we cannot fathom, we cannot comprehend, and it is clear after the multitude of stories that are emerging that the people who passed away were most certainly called Kedoshim, they were holy ones. People heard them saying Shema for the last time. They're crying out to the Almighty as they knew life was leaving them. These are Kedoshim V'Tehorim in Hebrew, holy and pure ones who ascended to heaven, straight to the world to come, straight to reside by the throne of glory of the Almighty. And they want us to at least learn something and take something in our own personal lives from this event. Otherwise, it would be a tragedy tenfold. One message for me that I'm just humbly sharing: the power of Ahavat Yisrael, of the power of loving all Jews, no matter how they look like or where they're coming from. May we only know comfort. May the families know peace. May the victims that are still suffering have a complete healing. And wishing you all Shabbat Shalom.